daydream, sometimes it can be a problem.
Joining us this morning, personality profiler Dr. Richard Levak. Dr. Levak, good morning. Thank you for being here. Dr. Levak?
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
He was gone there for a minute.
Look,
Hello,
you
come on,
can
Doc.
only do that if you tell me what you were just daydreaming about. Be honest.
You know, I have no idea where I went.
What is daydreaming then? I mean, should you know what you're thinking, where your mind is going?
Well, the reason it's called daydreaming is because it's almost like a dream where your mind invades it's as if you are half asleep and you have an incoherent, rambling series of thoughts.
Yeah.
And most people do it. Some people don't do it very much. Some people do it a lot. And we'll talk about when that's good or bad. But it's when you're sitting about not focusing and your mind wanders in an almost dreamlike state with incoherent, almost weird sometimes thoughts that sometimes you can't even remember. And sometimes you think, well, why was I thinking that?
Yeah. It's pretty common, obviously. Why do we do it? Is it because we're bored? Is it because something just disconnects and you just kind of, I call it kind of zoning out. Because I say, I zoned out for a minute, and what is...
Now, when you zone out, is your mind kind of blank? Is the computer off? Or is it rambling around with thoughts?
I would say that it's almost like in sleep mode. Like I'm focused, I know everything that's going on, and for a minute, it just kind of goes into the sleep mode.
Okay, so that's not really daydreaming. That's taking a break. Your computer's off for a minute, taking a break. But daydreaming is when you are driving and suddenly you've realized you've gone way past your exit. And you realize, you've been doing something around the house and you've been deep in thought, but you don't even know where you were. And that's daydreaming. Now, it's a good thing if you're rehearsing. Say you've had a conflict with Shally at work.
That would never happen. That would never happen, Doc.
Or let's say that you have an upset and you catch yourself thinking and plotting and trying to figure out how to fix it.
Okay.
That's less daydreaming than planning.
Okay.
If you're going on vacation and you're daydreaming about what you're going to be doing, that's a good thing because you're rehearsing. What do I bring? How do I plan?
When is it bad?
Well, there was a research study. The reason we're talking about it, a brand new research study out of Haifa in Israel, looked at 350 people who daydreamed 50% of their waking time. 50%.
Wow.
And the researchers thought that it might be a diagnosable phenomenon. Something's wrong when 50% of the time your computer is running with lots of windows open, but you're not really focused.
Well, how do you solve that, though?
And they found that the reason that happened is some people had been traumatized, and that was a way for the brain to try to get rid of it. For some people, they were obsessive, and they were so anxious that they were always escaping from the moment, planning and rehearsing all the possible future things that could go wrong. So that wasn't a good thing. You're not present, you're not focused, you're not here.
Sure.
But from what you're saying, Dr. Levak, it sounds like that's a pretty serious case. This is just normal daydreaming that you are doing. It's okay to do that.
It's not only okay, it's good for the brain to take a rest. It's good for the brain to rehearse. For example, if you catch yourself daydreaming, I've caught myself daydreaming about winning the lottery.
Sure.
And I'm driving and I find myself fighting with myself about how much money I give to each of my nieces and should I give this much and it'll make my brother or sister jealous, and I'm all torn up with this fantasy and I haven't even bought a lottery ticket.
Oh my goodness.
So why am I daydreaming about that?
Right.
Yes.
So if I can stand back and say, why am I daydreaming about that? I clearly want to give my family something. So maybe that's a signal I need to call them up and do something with them.
Oh, I see. There's like a little message or something.
It's a message.
Okay.
So that your computer is interrupting your activity, saying there are some things you should think about. And it can get squeezed through a daydream. So if you can listen to those daydreams, there might be good information.
The mind is a fascinating place.
Isn't that interesting?
Wow.
Do you daydream?
All the time.
Do you really?
Yes, but I'm not going to tell you what about. That's private.
But you see, that would be interesting, right?
Yeah.
Where you go is interesting.
Oh,
Where
very
people go as a favorite daydream would tell you something. That's why you don't want to reveal it.
Exactly. Dr. Levak, thank you for being here. Some things are just better